No one has ever asked an actor, "You're playing a strong-minded man." We assume that men are strong-minded or have opinions, but a strong-minded woman is a different animal.
Meryl Streep is Hollywood royalty. 3 Oscars, 21 nominations, and a reputation so pristine that even her harshest critics can't deny her talent. But here's what they don't tell you about the woman they call the greatest actress of all time. She's human, and like any human working in the pressure cooker of Hollywood, she's had her share of nightmare co-stars. Now, Meryl being Meryl, she's never publicly thrown anyone under the bus. She's too classy for that, but if you dig deep enough into production stories, crew interviews, and those rare unguarded moments, a different picture emerges. A picture of an actress who's dealt with method actors gone rogue, ego-driven stars who made her life hell, and collaborations so toxic that she made sure they never happened again. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the actors who pushed Hollywood's most professional performer to her absolute limit. These aren't just stories about creative differences. These are tales of on-set warfare that nearly broke one of cinema's most respected figures. Let's start with the big one, the collaboration that industry insiders still whisper about decades later. Number 5, Dustin Hoffman. Picture this. It's 1979 and Meryl Streep is filming Kramer vs. Kramer opposite Dustin Hoffman. On paper, it's a dream pairing. 2 of the most respected actors of their generation tackling a powerful story about divorce and custody battles. What could go wrong? Everything. Dustin Hoffman was deep in his method acting phase, and I mean deep. This wasn't just staying in character between takes, this was psychological warfare disguised as artistic commitment. Hoffman believed that to create authentic tension on screen, he needed to create real tension off screen, and Meryl became his unwilling target. Here's where it gets disturbing. During one particularly intense scene, Hoffman decided to improvise. Without warning Streep, he slapped her across the face. Hard. The cameras were rolling, Meryl was in character as an emotionally vulnerable woman fighting for her children, and suddenly she's dealing with actual physical assault from her co-star. But that wasn't the worst of it. Hoffman had a habit of changing his approach mid-scene, forcing Streep to constantly readjust her carefully prepared emotional state. Imagine spending hours getting into the headspace of a heartbroken mother, only to have your scene partner completely switch gears without warning. It's like preparing for a piano recital and having someone randomly change the sheet music while you're performing. Cinematographer Nestor Almendros later revealed that the tension between them was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Crew members would watch Hoffman's unpredictable choices force Streep to break character and reset her emotional preparation over and over again. The director constantly had to mediate between their completely opposed philosophies. Streep later described working with Hoffman as professionally productive, but personally challenging. That's Hollywood speak for, "This guy made my life a living hell, but the movie turned out good." Notice something? Meryl Streep has never worked with Dustin Hoffman again. Not once in the 40-plus years since Kramer vs. Kramer. That's not a coincidence. Number 4, Alec Baldwin. Fast forward to 2009 and Meryl is starring in It's Complicated opposite Alec Baldwin. On the surface, this should have been a breeze, a romantic comedy with 2 seasoned professionals. But Baldwin's approach to comedy was like oil to Streep's water. Here's the thing about Meryl Streep and comedy. She approaches it like surgery. Every line, every gesture, every facial expression is precisely calculated to serve the character's truth. She believes that the funniest moments come from authentic human behavior, not from trying to be funny. Alec Baldwin, complete opposite. He treats comedy scenes like jazz improvisation, loose, spontaneous, and constantly changing. During rehearsals, sources describe their sessions as exercises in diplomatic compromise. That's code for they couldn't stand each other's methods. The real breaking point came during filming when Baldwin started changing dialogue mid-take. Picture this. Meryl has spent hours perfecting the rhythm and timing of a comedic scene, understanding exactly how each word builds to the punchline. Then Baldwin decides to go off-script, throwing her entire preparation out the window. Script supervisor Diane Dreyer put it perfectly. Meryl approaches comedy like a surgeon, while Alec treats funny scenes like opportunities for performance showcase. The director had to constantly manage the tension, making sure their fundamental incompatibilities didn't destroy the film. The result? A movie that worked despite their clashing styles, but another co-star Meryl has never chosen to work with again. Number 3, Jeremy Irons. Sometimes the problem isn't conflict, it's the complete absence of connection. Jeremy Irons worked with Streep twice, The French Lieutenant's Woman and The House of the Spirits. Both times the result was what critics politely called underwhelming. But here's what's fascinating. Streep herself has been unusually critical of her own performance in The French Lieutenant's Woman. In rare interviews, she's expressed genuine dissatisfaction with her work, something she almost never does. When pressed, she's hinted that the lack of chemistry with Irons made it impossible for her to find her character's truth. Think about what that means. This is an actress who can create believable chemistry with a lamp if the script requires it. But something about working with Irons left her feeling disconnected from her own performance. That's not just professional disappointment, that's artistic frustration at the deepest level. The second collaboration, The House of the Spirits, was even worse. Critics noted that Streep and Irons seemed to be acting in completely different movies. There was no spark, no tension, no connection whatsoever. It was like watching two incredibly talented actors perform monologues in the same room. Number 2, Tom Cruise. Now let's talk about Lions for Lambs. This 2007 political drama paired Streep with Tom Cruise, and the result was forgettable. But the behind-the-scenes story reveals something interesting about how Streep handles difficult collaborations. Critics noted that Cruise essentially monopolizes the scenes she is in, leaving Streep with little to do. But here's what's fascinating. Instead of fighting for more screen time or pushing back against Cruise's dominating presence, Streep seemed to retreat into herself. She delivered a perfectly competent performance that felt strangely muted. This wasn't the fiery Meryl we know from The Devil Wears Prada, or the commanding presence from The Iron Lady. This was an actress who seemed to be counting down the days until filming wrapped. Industry insiders suggest that Cruise's intense, controlling approach to his scenes left Streep feeling like a supporting player in her own movie. Number 1, Julia Roberts. August, Osage County should have been Meryl Streep's crowning achievement. A powerhouse ensemble drama with Julia Roberts, Ewan McGregor, and a cast full of heavy hitters. Instead, it became a masterclass in how too many strong personalities can destroy a film. The problem wasn't any single actor, it was the complete lack of cohesion. Critics noted that the cast felt like they were working on entirely different movies. Streep was delivering her trademark intensity, Roberts was doing her crowd-pleasing charm, and everyone else was somewhere in between. But here's what really frustrated Streep: the lack of collaborative spirit. She's used to working with actors who are willing to adjust their performances to serve the story. Instead, she found herself surrounded by stars who were more concerned with their individual moments than the collective whole. The result was a film that felt disjointed and artificial, despite being packed with talent. For an actress who prides herself on ensemble work, it was a deeply unsatisfying experience. What this reveals about Meryl Streep. Here's what's remarkable about all these stories. Meryl Streep has never publicly badmouthed any of these actors. Even when pressed in interviews, she deflects with grace and professionalism. When Graham Norton asked her directly about difficult co-stars, she refused to name names and instead focused on her own performances she considered less satisfactory. But actions speak louder than words. Look at her career choices since these collaborations. She's never worked with Hoffman, Baldwin or Cruise again. She's gravitating toward directors and co-stars who share her collaborative approach and respect for the craft. This isn't about ego or diva behavior, it's about an artist protecting her creative process. Streep has figured out that life's too short to work with people who make the job harder than it needs to be. The bigger picture. What these stories really reveal is that even the most professional, most respected actor in Hollywood has limits. Meryl Streep's difficult co-stars weren't necessarily bad people. They were artists with fundamentally different approaches to the craft. Hoffman's method madness worked for him, but it was psychological torture for his scene partners. Baldwin's improvisational energy creates magic in the right context, but it's chaos when paired with Streep's surgical precision. Irons is a brilliant actor, but sometimes brilliant actors just don't click. The lesson here isn't that these actors are villains. It's that artistic compatibility is just as important as talent. You can have all the skill in the world, but if your process destroys your co-star's ability to do their job, the collaboration is doomed. Meryl Streep's career is a testament to the power of choosing your battles wisely. She's learned that protecting her creative process isn't selfish. It's essential. By avoiding actors who drain her energy or disrupt her method, she's been able to maintain her artistic integrity for over 4 decades. The next time you watch a Meryl Streep performance, remember that what you're seeing isn't just raw talent. It's the result of careful choices about who she's willing to share the screen with. Sometimes the most important decision an artist can make is knowing when to say no. We are committed to releasing 2 videos a week. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more film lore.